Why, hello, my friends in film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching. Thank you so much for giving us this little bit of your time. It's been a while since we've done a retro movie review. We've only really done one in the last year or so. This isn't really as retro as I like to go. This one's a lot more recent. But I figured I have a Tuesday night to kill. Why not get the gang together? And why not talk about a movie? And let's dip into a genre that we haven't really had a chance to explore as much as I'd like to on this channel of late. Let's talk about some horror movies. And boy, did Tex come up with a pretty good suggestion. I said, let's throw together a retro movie review. He goes, let's do this movie right here. And I actually enjoyed it very, very much. Not only that, but apparently so did Rachel, because she wants to come join us as well. So we're getting the whole gang together to talk about what I think was actually a pretty entertaining movie. Starting off with the Dowager Countess, Lady. How are you doing tonight, ma'am?
I'm good and feeling better and having a good day. It's too bad Tex can't join us today, but that's okay. You know, we can do fine just without him, you know. I did enjoy this psychological thriller movie. I'm not going to lie. Looking forward to talking about it.
It was a very good movie. It was one of my favorite small-time, not big-name actors as well. But also with us, The Shape from the Lone Star State, one of our horror aficionados, our man Tex. What's going on, brother?
You know, the slander that's put on my name by the Countess Lady Cora will not be tolerated. Just know that right away. But no, I'm doing well.
Dowager Countess.
Dowager. I don't speak your fancy, quaint English, whatever you Yankees talk about, bro. I don't know what you did. I'm trying.
I don't know what's going on, Frank. There's a lot of dead air going on here.
Well, you know, unfortunately, Cora, in this, you know, the country that you live in, you can't vote anymore. So you might as well just disappear. So it's okay. But no, doing well. Ready to discuss a very fun, good Blumhouse movie. Not like Halloween does.
Yeah, and obviously I can't talk about horror without my other horror aficionado and his better half. I've got my hetero life mate Jeremy and his better half Tin Septim. What's going on with you guys today?
Oh, not much. I don't know where Jeremy is, but
oh my god,
he should be back soon.
Rachel, behind you. Turn around.
We should learn sign language.
Rachel, turn around.
Behind you.
There's something behind you.
I can't hear you.
Rachel.
I don't.
Oh my god, no! Rachel!
Well, Rachel's dead. R.I.P.
I'll be back.
Add her victim. She can add her to the victim count here of the man, as his name is in this film.
It's almost like who is that? Who is that? Well, we haven't seen your face, so if you just leave now, we're not gonna tell anyone.
606.
Haven't seen your face yet.
Well, we just crossed over into the purge world too. Holy
now
crap.
He's gotta kill us. Now we're all dead.
Crap. Dang it, we're all dead. Good job, Frank. You shouldn't have said anything. We could have survived this horror
That thing is highly uncomfortable, by the way.
Well, at least we can hear you now.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah, I can hear again. It's a miracle.
I want to point out that Jeremy, at the drop of a hat, can do a killer cosplay.
Yes.
That is true.
That's something he decided to throw
That's a
together
Christmas miracle.
But what's going on to everybody in the chat? Got everybody in the chat already. Thank you all for coming and hanging out. Foxtrot, what's going on? Let's see. BJ's in here. What's up, BJ? How you doing? Derek Hans.
What's up?
Even to why you shoot. Wow. I'm going to completely screw up that name. I apologize. But hey, thanks all you guys for coming and hanging out. Derek's asking if I'm ready for the weekend. Well, we'll see. We'll see if the Niners are ready for the weekend. But yeah, bang bang Niner gang. But there'll probably be a little bit of football content coming up over the course of next week. I might do my prediction video for the first round like I did last year. But yeah, we are here now for like I said, a bit of a spontaneous movie review, but for a good movie. Now, the one we're going to be talking about is Hush. Let's see. Hush is let me pull my notes up real quick. Let's see. Hush is a 2016 American slasher film directed by Mike Flanagan and starring Katie Siegel, who also co-wrote the film, and co-stars John Gallagher Jr. and Mike Trucco. The film had its worldwide premiere at South by Southwest on March 12, 2016, and was released by Netflix on April 8th of the same year. It received positive reviews from critics who praised the performances and the atmosphere. The basic plot of the movie is that a deaf and mute horror author named Maddie Young, who lost her abilities to hear and speak after contracting bacterial meningitis at age 13, it caused permanent hearing loss and temporary vocal cord paralysis, which became permanent after, the thing. is hoping to advance her writing career following the publication of her novel Midnight Mass. And she leaves New York City and isolates herself in the woods with her cat. Her friend Sarah comes to visit her every once in a while, but she's trying to write her next book when she is stumbled upon by a masked killer with a crossbow that attacks her friend and then proceeds to spend several hours stalking her from outside of her own house. That's the basic plot of the film. There are some kind of horror tropes in here, but I mean, one of the nice things about horror is that even the tropes tend to pay off pretty well. Let's go with the basic plot. I mean, Cora, you just watched this film today, actually. What did you think of the basic plot of the film? Was it a little too cookie cutter, or did it not really matter for you?
It was not too cookie cutter. It was a great psychological thriller because they give you a not too long intro of her life, right? And then you have this, all of a sudden, everything goes really bad. And I'll be honest, at first, when it started going bad, I thought, oh my gosh, is this her imagination writing an ending to her book? Like, is this not real? And so I was watching the whole movie waiting for a moment to see if it was actually happening to her or if it was her mind manifesting the book ending. And then at some point you realize what it is. And it was great. I actually really liked it. So I liked the plot. It had good pacing and the combination of really good lighting and the fact that they would switch between no sound to give her perspective and then sound as if you're anybody else. It was really cool contrast.
Yeah, Jeremy, Rachel, what did you guys think of the plot? I mean, was it good for you guys? Did it work? Because there was a lot of different things in this movie that kind of complement what is kind of normal horror stuff that gave it kind of a different angle. What did you think?
I mean, I always appreciate a movie that will take somebody who's disabled and make them into like a superstar in a way. And that's kind of how I felt by the end of this movie. It's like this lady who could not hear this person and had to rely on the rest of her senses was able to, overcome. And I really liked that aspect of it. I also really enjoyed, like Cora said, going between what everyone else could hear and then kind of nothing from her viewpoint.
Yeah. I don't think I saw this since maybe it came out. So seeing it again was kind of cool. And like she said, it's like, that's the thing that draws you to it. It's like, I mean, we've all seen, typical home invasion movie, like when we talked about last week, The Strangers or stuff like that, or like even The Purge, which ironically that was the mask I was wearing from the second movie. That's the closest I have that works for it. But it's like when you throw in that extra layer of, oh, this woman's deaf. It's like, how do you even get out of that situation, even if you weren't deaf? It's like, good Lord, now she has this extra hurdle to get over dealing with this dude. Because then I thought, I was like, do we have one where someone's blind? I was like, wait a minute, Don't Breathe, I think, is probably your closest to,
Bird Box also kind of where they had to wear.
Well, they had to blind themselves. Someone who
themselves.
actually was blind was the
Right.
one that was in the horror movie. If he's the hero or villain, I don't really know. I'll let you. He's the victim at first, but man, they find out they messed with the wrong dude.
Yeah.
kind of same thing here. It's like, yeah, this. And he even says, like, when he goes against the neighbor, he's like, yeah, I wouldn't have won that fight. Like, he knows he's a scrawny dude, but, she still came out on top, and that's the part that matters.
Yeah, I actually thought that was the one of the great things about horror that I like is when they come up with these kind of little bits of humor that kind of accentuate the horror. That was the one funny line in the movie where it was so as a matter of fact, he's like, yeah, I totally would have lost that fight. It takes you out of the movie just enough to plunge you back in later on.
He's got a little charisma, but it's still like, man, you're a dick.
Yeah.
You're sort of smoking a cigarette over my body and be like, you know what, John? What do you think I should do next? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Who is this guy?
It kind of had the feeling of watching Sesame Street, when the humans are talking to the puppets. They're like, it's not somebody who can answer, but it's just... I half expected his body to hop up like the Undertaker and go, well, maybe you should go in. I don't know.
That kind of would have made sense. I don't know. Tex, what did you think about the plot of the movie?
I thought it was a simple plot, but executed well. Films like this just go to show you can take a simple premise, add a little bit of flavor to it with the angle of the hero of the film having the disability of being able to hear, and pulling it off in an interesting way. They didn't try to get too fancy with it. Very small cast. There's 4 or 5 people in the whole film, and there's a lot. This is a Blumhouse special that was made for cheap, sold for profit, and the plot was done well. It added a flavor that I don't think I think we talked about that. May have been in the DM group, but I don't think I've ever seen another horror film that has a deaf hero in it. So for them to pull this off, I thought was very interesting, especially how they did it, playing with certain toys, let's say, within the house. It came out pretty effectively. So.
Ironically, I think that I would say they do it in Walking Dead. They have that one girl who's deaf, and it's like, wow, how do you survive a zombie apocalypse and be deaf? You know what I mean?
Right.
Or the 2 of them are actually deaf. Yeah.
I really like the extra like drama, the extra intensity you get from her disability, because there is something inherently frightening about dead silence. It's like we watch, we sit here and watch horror movies, and there's always like, the girl walking through the scary haunted house, and there's always this ominous like string instrument playing in the background that helps build that tension the way music does in a film. But sometimes the silence can carry kind of a different feeling all its own. So when you're like alone in a dark place, you're feeling a little uneasy. It's that lack of that stimulus that kind of has a bigger effect on your mind. So you kind of approach it differently. It puts you in her mind the way that you can't really get put in the mind of like a Jamie Lee Curtis when she's fighting Michael Myers or whoever's like. There's a whole different level of fear that comes from not having one of your senses, especially your hearing, because that's kind of an important thing to have in day-to-day life. Not having that can greatly impact the way you do everything, especially in a situation where your life is on the line, like she finds herself.
Did you notice in the movie there was no music, really? Like there was it felt very like first person, or as if you were there, because there wasn't this, soundtrack or score going through the whole movie. I kind of like that.
I think that was by design.
It was. This is an isolationist film. There wasn't a big cast. It wasn't a bloated budget. It wasn't a bloated film. So to make it feel, obviously they use music in horror films to know when you're supposed to be scared, right? Well, this is a kind of film where they want you to experience it as if it were real, not, oh, here comes the music, Jaws is about to pop up, right? So by pulling the music out, just like Jeremy said a minute ago, in The Strangers, it draws you in closer because you get closer to the screen to watch and pay attention, you know what I mean?
The irony, too, being that the guy's weapon of choice was a crossbow, which is, silent. But that was kind of funny.
Right. Well, he uses a crossbow and a knife. Yes, he has a gun.
That's probably to keep neighbors when he's doing this shit from ever hearing
Well,
anything.
yeah. And that's the thing is like, that brings up a question. Like, we don't really, he's even just credited as just being called the man. Like, we don't even know who he is. Like, does he know her? Is he a neighbor? Is he just somebody, some little.
Well, I Googled this
town?
a little bit because I was curious after watching it, like, who is this guy? And nobody really knew, but there was like this consensus of people who talked about the movie or reviewed it saying he's just some guy who happened to enjoy killing people and fucking with people. And when she's in the bathroom and she looks at the crossbow and there's 13 notches scratched out on it, that makes you think he's had 13 kills already. Maybe
he's done this before.
I don't know.
Well,
it seemed like he was just someone just going around killing people, and just seems to be his little nighttime hobby, I guess. Do
you guys think he was lying to the guy before he killed him, asking all the questions about Maddie, like he didn't know her? Or do you think he had studied her and he already knew all the answers?
No, I think this guy was I think what this guy was doing was the original intent of what Michael Myers was. He just kills because he's the boogeyman. He's the evil. He just stumbled upon them.
So you don't think he knew who she, and that's why he was actually asking, does she have family around?
He was only asking that to try,
he was feeling it out.
He was feeling it out. He was trying, because, the guy, the guy that he was talking to, the
John,
neighbor
I
boyfriend or
The
whatever,
boyfriend. Yeah.
John or whatever. Yeah, he was basically, he was pretending to be a police officer. Because see, I thought a twist was coming where he actually was a cop. That's what I thought was actually going to happen when I first saw this years ago. But
Okay.
we know now, with the 13 notches, I think this guy just kills just because he likes to kill. That's what it seemed like to me.
Because it's really weird how nonchalant, like when he just stabs John in the throat and he's just like, hey man, it's done.
Moment when she got the crossbow from him, he was like thrown off all to hell. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, you grab you get your weapon taken from you. It's kind of like, well, shit.
Well, to kind of prove my point a little bit to this, he has so little of backstory. He is credited as man in this film. They don't even give him a name.
Just makes it more terrifying.
So, if they didn't even give him a name, why would they create a backstory? And they had the 13 marks on the shaft of the crossbow to signify, this is not the first time this has happened. And, whether it's Purge, Halloween, Strangers, we've seen things like this before. And often the most terrifying killers are not the biggest and the baddest ones, but it's the one that the littlest about. And, this guy talks, but he only talks because he knows she can't hear him.
Yeah, when he says, "I'm not coming in until you're ready to die," and that was
Right.
the most chilling line in the whole, because he was fucking serious. Like, it basically said, "Do you understand? Like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, but only when I want to."
Well,
it seemed like he came across her by chance. It seemed like
I don't think he knew she was deaf.
Yeah, her friend was definitely a target in the beginning. The why is never explained, but it doesn't really matter for the course of this film.
Oh,
It
like
seems
she was
when
running
her
back
friend-
to Maddie's house,
Yeah,
you think?
her
And that's what brought him to her
friend
house?
Her friend somehow got away, and that's what led him to her in the first place.
Mhm.
So it seemed like the whole interaction between Maddie and this killer was just pure chance. It was pure happenstance.
Yeah, and I think since he does seem to, he seems to
Is that why he
have
was
a lot of fun with what he
So
does.
he was standing behind her tapping his knife on his vest, like he couldn't believe that she didn't hear him open the door.
Yeah, because it's like when he walks in there, it's like, why didn't you just kill her right there? It's like, well, I think he's still feeling it out. Like, wait a minute, he's tapping, like, she doesn't hear me. So, he just probably thinks, oh, this will be a fun game.
Well, this killer is very interesting to me. He's the type of killer that likes to play with his victims. He likes to play with his food before he eats it. In reality, when he killed that neighbor, and then he sees Maddie sitting there, on her laptop doing her thing, and she doesn't even realize anything's going on. He could have kicked the door in and sliced her head off without her even knowing anything about it. But she's on a video chat with her friend, and once he gets in the house, and her sister or whatever, and her sister's like, what was that in the background? Something moved. And she's like, oh, that was my cat. She's a little bitch or whatever. And
the cat's name was Bitch.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's the subtle little, often the scariest things in life are the things that are the realest. And this is a film that could be a 48 hours or a 2020, episode. That's what's so cool about a movie like this. The killer's not supernatural. He's not, he doesn't resurrect. His soul doesn't transfer to somebody else and then they become Jason Voorhees. It's not one of those things. He's a guy that knows he's not a good killer. That's why he says, whew, I'm glad you weren't a big, football player or linebacker guy, whatever, when he kills John, the boyfriend, And it's, the guy knows his place. He knows he's not going to be, the big hulking dude. So he's got to be optimistic when he strikes, but he still likes to play with his food. Like I said, it's an interesting the way they wrote this role. I enjoy it.
Did you notice that he also texted? He took a token off of each one of them, like so you can tell he hit like he took her earring, he took the guy's watch.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
so that was telling to me that he definitely has done this before.
Well, he's one of those killers that likes to keep a memento, a keepsake from each one of his things, because that's what helps them revisit the kills. And, it's all the way when he kills John, the boyfriend, that one seemed more processed because the guy was getting in the way. He wasn't playing with him. How he interacted and killed him was much different than he did anything else in the film, because he saw that guy as a legitimate threat. So he's trying to throw him off the scent. Let me call into the station at 815-372.
Do you think
we
he
have
would have let him live, Tex? I had a moment where I thought he's going to let this guy live.
No,
But
a guy like this wipes everybody out.
John was getting red flags. He was like, wait a minute, something's not right here. So I don't think he was going to just leave. Especially since he's looking for his girlfriend, and now he's wondering why Maddie's got lipstick written on her window. And who is this guy just sitting here pointing? I'm like, your big clue is there's no damn cop car out anywhere, and he's not in uniform. Yeah. He's not in uniform. Like, you don't look like a cop
either.
No.
Where's your badge at least?
But here's the thing: in rural counties, sometimes there are off-duty cops who hear something on the radio and go do it because everybody else is far away.
There was still no extra car anywhere.
No,
I agree with you.
There was no car. He did say like, the guy. There's some big guy. He even tried to like throw it at Johnny. He's like, I don't know, some big guy like you, right? He said, I got jumped. I lost my badge and my gun when I woke up. I'm like, well, okay, dude.
Sure. Your whole uniform, sure.
Yeah, he took my uniform too. What a bastard.
Well,
it's like the beginning of Texas Chainsaw beginning, where he kills him and takes the becomes
he ain't retarded. He's just special, something like that. I love that movie. Well, the one thing about this film that's the most interesting to me is because we all know horror movies are very dependent on how technology is handled. The reason why slasher movies today don't work as well as it did in the 80s because, if you're stranded out in the woods, you flip out your cell phone and get you an Uber or whatever, right? Yeah. But with her, he takes the phone and he cuts the power. She can't speak to talk to 911. She can't do anything else. So she is completely isolated. This guy's a smart killer. Like, once he knows what he's dealing with, how he handles it in the beginning is very smart. Now, towards the end of it, he gets a little confident, cocky, and that's his downfall. But a lot of interesting premises. I think they could have done more with this, but obviously it didn't go anywhere. Yeah, I like this.
I actually don't think they could have done more with this. I actually like the idea that there's a simplicity to the movie.
It seems like it could happen to you. Like, that could happen to you at any point. Like,
it's real.
There's 13 other kills that we could go see.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, but those might be other movies because those were all very because those or 12, whatever. But I mean, it's like those were all separate situations that people that could hear and people that had all their faculties about them. So maybe they didn't have the quality of this one particular situation. So maybe those wouldn't be as entertaining to watch in movie form as this one was.
Well, maybe because he's going up against people that have their senses, and again, he is a small guy, so it's like he'd have to think even more about how do I get this person? How do I, He'd still have to plan that out and make sure he doesn't get jumped by someone who is John's size. He get his little neck snapped, and then it's the end of that movie.
Yeah, what do you guys think of the acting in this? I mean, Kate Siegel's the girl's name. She's actually married to the writer-director Mike Flanagan. They've done several movies together, including Ouija, which I think someone just mentioned in the chat a second ago.
Yeah, Ouija.
What else?
They did here. They did all of the Haunting on Hill Houses on Netflix. Mm-hmm. They've done all three of those, and Midnight Mass, and Dr. Sleep was directed by Mike Flanagan as well.
Flanagan, yep.
Oculus that she also appeared in as well. So so she's definitely made her round in some of the smaller horror pictures. But as I bring up those names, are horror pictures that, while they haven't had tremendous box office success, they haven't made $300-400 million or whatever. Critically, they've actually been pretty successful. I mean, this one. Let's see. This film, Hush, in itself has a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes based on 4 reviews. Yeah. That's nothing to sneeze at, with an average rating of 7.6 out of 10.
Well, wasn't Dude also the guy in 10 Cloverfield Lane?
Yes.
So he's also been in some horror beats too.
Yeah. He's actually been in several horror films. He's actually got a lot of stage stuff too on Broadway. Mm-hmm. But
Talk about range.
What else has he done? Yeah, talk about range. Yeah, he's actually, I've said to Cora a couple of times because me and her like some of the political stuff. Aaron Sorkin's Newsroom that was on HBO. He was one of the main roles. He's actually one of the main roles in that. He played Jim Harper, one of the news people in that. Very, very good show. But yeah, he's been in let's see.
I recognize the name.
10 Cloverfield. He was actually 10 Cloverfield Lane, I think is, with the exception of the first Cloverfield, is my favorite Cloverfield movie. That movie, from start to finish, is awesome. He was also in another one, the Belko Experiment, which I've never seen. I know I've heard of it.
That's a wild movie, I've heard.
Well, it's a James Gunn movie. So
I mean, yeah.
And James Gunn, he got started doing a lot of horror stuff that went really, really well. He was also in season 3 of Westworld, which has gotten a lot of acclaim. I've never watched it, but he's also been in a lot of stuff like, let's see, that movie Peppermint, which I never saw, which didn't really do much for me. Some TV stuff. He was in Jonah Hex, which I don't think 12 people saw because that movie just wasn't very good. And then a bunch of TV. He did do a lot of theater, a whole bunch of theater. He's actually been nominated for several Tony Awards, which is
nice.
A lot of people don't really know the Tonys very well because they're just for theater, but I mean that's the Oscar for theater acting. But Michael Trucco, for those of you who watched Battlestar Galactica, he was the newer version of Battlestar Galactica that was out in the early 2000s. He was the boyfriend, the husband that showed up later on that was killed. But yeah, there's plenty of acting. What do you guys think about the acting in this? Because Kate Siegel actually got a lot of credit for how good she was in this film.
I think it was well done. The bad guy scene, it almost felt like somebody was recording what was happening to them. It was very well done. I will say this: the friend that died, Sarah, it was a little over the top with how exuberant she was. But she did just read her friend's book and she was trying to give her praise, but it was a little overkill. I would have been like, do you really like the book or are you just trying to make me feel better? But who knows? That was the only thing I would say was kind of like not the best, but like I said, just that one thing. But
I wonder about the office. Wow, I'm not gonna be able to say that word. How well the sign language was compared to
authentic or not?
That's the word I was trying to say. Yes.
I did hear there was some internet buzz about deaf persons not liking this movie or criticizing it for how deaf person was portrayed or something about the signing, but it's a movie, you just kind of go with it.
The deaf community is a very tight-knit community, and they're very close, and they have their own, social norms and their own community. So I can see why they might have had some issues with some of it. But you still, again, like you said, it's a movie. I just wonder how, because I took a couple of classes of ASL and I could recognize a lot of the stuff that she was saying as what they were saying that she was saying. But I just wonder about how accurate it really was. Besides that, the acting, like you said, Cora, it did feel kind of just like you were watching something actually unfold.
Yeah, but there are only 4. Well, let's see, 1, 2, 4 people in the movie except for the FaceTime person, and
and Craig, who wasn't even. What was the point of Craig?
I wondered that too, but I think it was the reason that she put her phone away from her, that she didn't have her phone on her. Sense. But let me tell you, this movie makes me want to get a $15 a month burner phone and hide it somewhere in my bathroom.
Right.
Just saying.
I feel that.
Or you can get a nice little 45 on your bedside table and just pop that fucker when he looks in the window.
I carry.
Done.
I have a gun within reach at all times. I'm just saying it for some reason.
Just saying, she could have ended this a lot faster.
So I think just about everybody on this call right now has a gun within pretty steady reach, pretty easy reach. but some of the interesting trivia about this film. One thing I wanted to point out, and I think we kind of touched on it already, is that what am I looking at here?
Dueling crossbows, bitch. Let's go.
Jeremy's ready to F somebody up if they come to that door right now.
Yeah. The director Flanagan said that he had made the main character deaf and mute because he wanted to direct a film without dialogue, and the possibility of making the film entirely silent was briefly considered, but was soon abandoned when Flanagan had decided that building tension with this limitation would be impossible. He also noted that the target audience would not have been used to silent silent films and such would seek out every kind of audio stimulus everywhere else in the environment, or simply not choose to watch the film. So like maybe you're not caught up in the sound of the moment and the rustling of the leaves as you step on them, slowly trying to get away, that kind of thing, and that you would be distracted by other things, hoping to find sound. I think that would have been interesting. I actually was, as I was watching the movie, that actually kind of occurred to me. I was like, what if you would have had some sound leading into like the second act, and then the rest of it was completely silent. That we kind of saw, because not just seeing the movie through her eyes, but hearing the movie the way she hears it, which would be no hearing at all, not knowing where the person was coming from, not knowing
the feel
if
of her heartbeat.
Yeah,
like the only thing you could hear would be those internal vibrations that somebody who was deaf would feel. Like just the
or when she put her
heartbeat.
hand on the deck from underneath,
putting her hand, and you hear that vibration she would feel. That would be kind of neat.
Like I said, someone in Walking Dead did that. She was running down the hallway, then she stopped. She realized, wait, and she backed up against the wall real quick, and then like felt for the vibrations of the people running around, and she was like, oh, okay, they're over here. You know what I mean? So
yeah, you could even have it like, you know how some artists make songs that flow into one ear and out the other.
Yes.
Kind of like that with the moving through channels. Where like if you heard the vibration moving across the theater while you were there, that would be really interesting.
It'd be wild to watch that whole movie on mute.
It would be.
That's what I'm saying.
See, if I were heard, I had the money and I was living out in the middle of nowhere and I had those disabilities, I'd have fucking motion sensors all over my house.
Yeah.
Like, especially on the outside. So that if you knew somebody was approaching the door, you get like a buzz on your Apple Watch, which, you know, whatever, but yeah.
Well, that's the thing with Kate Siegel here. You know, so often, you know, what do we hear these days? Oh, well, you know, the social commentary of this film is to show the strife of the female. They showed you got that in this movie, but in the way it should be done. They showed you a character who had a struggle, who had something to overcome, and by the end of the film, everybody was rooting for her. You didn't get preached at, you didn't get thrown at it in your face. They wrote a competent story, they shot it well, and by the end of it, it's just like Ripley at the end of Aliens. Everybody's on her side. You know, it was, you know, she had her relationship struggles, obviously the physical ailments that she has. You know, she's having her writer's block. She's trying to come up with this new crime novel and do whatever. She's writing to herself how crappy of a writer she is. You feel for the character, and then you see the best friend get killed. And then, you know, she doesn't know this happened until everything going on. You know, the scene where she writes in lipstick on the window, you know, I didn't see your face, you know, I won't tell the cops, whatever. That scene, it sucks the air out of the room because it's like, this person knows they're done. Like, there's no way out of this. This person is going to kill them. And at that point in the story, that is the lowest of low. And when he takes off that mask, you're like, oh, this, you know, we just took this to the next level. And he says, oh, well, you've seen my face now, haven't you? Not if you can read lips or whatever he says. And she has no choice but to participate, you know, comply to his demands. And from that point on, the movie picks up, but it's not so outrageous that it's not believable. Nothing happens in this movie that you couldn't believe couldn't really happen. And, you know, this is probably, you know, I think if this movie were bigger, this character of Maddie would be considered more of a final girl. Because if you're really comparing her to the Sallys or the Laurie Strodes or the Sidney Prescott, she's right there with them just from this one performance. But we don't have any more of it because the story is a one-off. It's not a franchise. But as a whole, I mean, you got to love this character because, I mean, look at the struggle she overcomes. You know,
and you can tell she's like thinking it through and trying to think about her options. And she's pretty resourceful. Like, she tries different angles at this. She tries, like, you know, here.
Well, like they're at the end of the film.
Like, like, and then literally she goes through in her head, like, okay, so if I try this, now I'll get killed. If I try to run up, you know, or if I try to go out this door, I can't go back upstairs. I can't wait. I'm like, yeah. So you're going to have to fight.
She plays. I kind of look at her as a complex female horror character. She's still the good-looking chick. You still get to see her take her pants off, so it's got the sex factor to it. She's competent. She's smart. She's not well, that's what I'm saying. They kind of combined all of the characteristics of different female horror characters, like the ditzy blonde, the whole thing, and put it into one. And it works really well because Kate Siegel acted it amazingly well. This is one of those movies that it's almost a yearly watch for me. It's one of those that I keep saved on Netflix, and I find it about every 6 months or so. It's kind of one of those, you've watched blah, 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 and I'm going back to watch it again. Just a really good movie.
What was that one we watched? It was the girl who played the cop, and it was a very small movie. She was in the police station overnight, and the weird shit started happening. She was in Walking Dead. It comes up every time. It keeps being the background every time we go to Netflix, even though we watched it like months ago.
I know. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like she's like the last shift of this old police station before they go to the new one.
Oh, Assault on Precinct 13.
Is that what it's called?
It's
an old John Carpenter movie.
No, this is from a person who was in Walking Dead.
Yeah, she was.
It's pretty much Assault on Precinct 13. It's just like a newer version of it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. She's like the last shift at that place. Then it starts to unravel when she starts seeing like weird shit happening and like demons and bullshit coming out of.
Is it P2?
What?
Is the name of the movie P2? Because it takes place in a parking
I'm like,
garage.
that's definitely not.
No. There's a horror film much like that takes place in a parking garage on Christmas Eve.
Oh,
P2, yeah. I mean, very similar movies, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Maybe it wasn't Netflix. Hold on. This is getting a really convoluted way I find this. Like, I don't even remember her name in Walking Dead. She was Tara's first girlfriend when they were with the governor. She got shot right in the dome by the kids.
Yeah.
Funniest shit I've ever seen. And I think I actually screamed. I think I screamed an F-bomb at her because I thought it was funny. But I mean, to be fair, I hated that character. But when I saw her in this, and I was like, oh, okay, you can act.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. And I'm like, I take back some of what I said. You still suck, but like, you're a better character in this. I'm actually rooting for you this time. I don't know if they even mentioned her name. I know it's going to tell me, it's going to tell me Denise. No, the other girlfriend, damn it. Oh, crap.
Well, while Jeremy's looking that up, I'm going to go into a little bit of the trivia about the movie, because I don't want this to be one of these 3-hour-long streams. I don't think it needs to go to that point. But let's see. The main character in this film, Maddie, is deaf and mute, and the film contains less than 15 minutes of dialogue, meaning that more than 70 minutes of the film occurs without a single word being spoken. And again, I like I said, I think that for a horror movie, that's a really cool thing to do because that negative audio stimulus makes you feel it a little bit more deeper in your head. It kind of gets in your head a little bit more, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. I found it.
Well,
What was
it?
That's so dumb because it's just so simple. It's just called Last Shift.
Oh yeah.
Last Shift. Yeah, 2014. It's an hour and a half. It's 100% in Rotten Tomatoes. That's awesome.
Well,
wow. But everyone else is like 5.8 on a 10 IMDb, 3.3 out of 5. 80% of people. It's a good movie.
One of the things about this that I found the most interesting that I didn't even really consider, like the only time I think about this is when I go hunting, is you don't even realize how much noise you make when you're walking through the woods when leaves are on the ground. Now obviously when you're hunting, you're heel toe. You're very easy. But if you're deaf and you're trying to run away from a serial killer and you've already been shot in the leg by a crossbow, you're not going to be able to walk smoothly. So you're going to hobble and you're going to make noise. And add on top of that, you don't know where this guy is. Like the scene where she's outside trying to do that was that I like how they shot that because you could see, obviously the actress is not deaf, but she played it believable. Like if I didn't know that she wasn't deaf, I could believe that she was. Now I don't know anything about the signing like y'all were talking about earlier, but she's very believable and plays it off as if she were. So, I mean, kudos to her on that.
Yeah, another interesting piece of trivia I found out about this, a name that I know Tex will know, and most certainly Jeremy as well, William Friedkin, the director of The Exorcist, the original 1973, is actually a big fan of this film and encouraged people to watch it. That puts you in pretty high esteem.
Yeah.
When that guy comes out and says you made a good movie, damn, that's like winning an Oscar.
You're in good. I mean, if there's a horror Oscar to give, he'd be one who could award it to you for sure. I mean, this is the guy that fired off shotguns on set next to a Linda Blair to get a legitimate scary response. So, the dude's legit. He's hardcore. I dig it.
Yeah, I like how we're talking about like, oh, people won't watch a silent film, and then we had that movie with John Krasinski. They're like, here, hold my beer, watch this.
I'm kind of curious to go back and watch it now, like y'all were saying, without sound. I might do that tonight. To just get that full.
It does have captions to it, right? Like to where it would still, like not like captions, but the ones that are already put in the movie for like some of the for her when she signs. So you could probably get away with doing that.
I feel like because that sounds like a cool idea, and I might try it eventually, but I feel like the first time you watch it, if you watch it with no sound on, it will probably hit the way you want it to hit. Then actually having watched it first and heard the dialogue, you're already going to kind of know some things. I think it will probably, like I said, I think that'd be an interesting experiment for somebody who's never seen the film before. To experience this entire thing first time from her perspective, completely from her perspective, no sound, none of that stimulus, to try to process what's happening over the course of this film, the way that she would have been processing it in real life. You know what I mean? I do think that would be cool, though.
This is one of those movies, like I said, I keep this on my save list. And like I said, it pops up about every 6 months or so, and I'll watch it. It's, like I said, it's normally about a once a year. It's one of those things. But this is one of those that it's good to watch it and then set it down, kind of forget about it, move on, and come back to it. Because this is not like one you can watch twice in a week and have it hit the same way. This is a very powerful film. It's a very well-made movie. But it's one that you need to appreciate and then kind of let it soak in because it's so simplistic. It's on that level. I really appreciate this movie, what they did with it. It goes to show that you don't have to spend $200 million on a movie to make a success. If they had take this exact film and release it in theaters today, it'd be huge. I have no doubt about that whatsoever.
Well, just like your favorite franchise, Tex, you know how much they made the original Saw for?
Oh, it was like pennies.
Like $1 million?
It was nothing.
Wow.
Yeah,
million,
it was nothing. Yeah.
Well, the budget for this movie was only $1 million.
Right. And
that's what I'm saying. You don't have to spend a bunch of money.
You can still have something that hits you right in the face. And like, again, like at the end, if you just watch the first Saw movie, I mean, my jaw hit the fucking floor when he stood up and then just slammed the door shut. I was like, what? Like, what?
I mean, just imagine if they never made another Saw, how much even more powerful that moment would be.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Obviously they did, and they're making more still, and I'm glad they are. But if they had never done it, that moment would be huge. And this movie, I don't know why this never got the praise that it did. I mean, this came out in 2016, and at that time, Blumhouse was not Blumhouse of today. They hadn't had... In 2016, they were just getting the rights to make the Halloween films and everything else. So they were known as the production house that just makes the schlocky little horror films for $20,000. It's pretty much what Blumhouse's business model was. They'd make horror movies, they'd turn a profit real quick, and then they'd flip it and go into the next one. Very much like Roger Corman did back in the day with American International and all the different studios that he opened up. And this is one of those films that, if you blink, you miss it, but this is worth checking out. This is, very high on the list.
I guess what you're saying is don't let this movie fall on deaf ears.
Yes. If you can hear
Oh,
me, go check this one out.
Oh, boy.
Come on.
Bad touch, Jay. Bad touch.
Oh, well,
bad touch is my thing. I'm calling gimmick infringement here. I don't think so.
Bad listen.
There you go.
Let's see.
What are you looking at me for? I have the utmost respect for deaf people because I worked with people in that warehouse that driving equipment.
If it makes you feel better to reassure yourself by saying all that, that's great.
What do y'all think of the kills? How were they executed? Like for me, I had 2.
Well, there were only 2.
Well, there were 2. Well, there were two really gory scenes that were my favorite.
Well,
one,
when he died,
it's a kill.
Well, no, the first one I'm talking about is when she was outside and then she runs back in the house and she has the crossbow and she drops one of the arrows and she reaches her hand through the door and he slams it on her wrist and then starts stomping on that hand. I thought that was, oh my God, that was so cool. I love that scene.
And again, she does do she portrays that pain really well. She's like smacking and she can't make a sound. Like that's gotta suck. Like also when she was cleaning the wound in the bathroom, I'm like, yeah, that would suck, and you wouldn't be able to make any noise. You just gotta sit there and just kind of power through it. I mean, damn.
Well, she's just hoping he's not ready to kill her yet, and she has time to hide in the house and get herself fixed up enough.
Well, that was also that moment. I mean, she was dipping her finger into her fucking wound and then right on the do it. I was like,
that was cool.
That was a
do it, coward.
I was just like, I'm gonna write this in my own blood.
I have to
say,
damn. When she first started writing, I thought she was just gonna write the question why ? Because she wanted to know why he was doing this, but really she was. Yeah.
No, at that moment, she was full on Sarah Connor. Like the look in her eyes was, "Let's do this thing, dude."
Because he said, "All right, I'm coming in there," and she had that like Bruce Lee moment. She's kind of like, "Do it, like, let's go." I mean, she's like, "Fuck it, I'm ready to full send on this guy."
You know what? One of my favorite scenes in this entire movie didn't have anything to do with anything horror. It's when she's coming to that realization that she can't run, and she can't.
Before the laptop typing or after?
Probably before when she's laying there in her living room and she's played through that one scenario in her head where she's running out and then he catches up with her, then bashes her with the rock. So that moment where she's having that conversation with herself, I
hated that because I wanted that to be real. I
love that scene where she's having that conversation with herself because there's that inner monologue. And it was displayed in a very unique way because she's deaf. So to see her talking to herself, it was a little bit confusing, but at the same time, you're like, if I understand how she's gotten to the point where she's like, I can't run, I can't call for help, I can't do anything. It's like, running and hiding is not an option. So maybe fighting is what I got left. If I want to get out of here, I'm gonna have to fucking whack this guy. And so that moment when she comes to that realization, I was just like, that's a really cool turning point. That's a big chunk of growth in one scene. So she goes from just trying to survive to I'm gonna fucking kill this guy all over the course of that 90-second scene.
Well, and I
was like, that's great, and I love the way it was all portrayed.
She even has the thought in her head. She's like, even if I use the crossbow, it's like if I miss, that's it, man. Like she's like, I gotta be able to hit him, and that's a chance I gotta take. Like you still even gotta weigh that option. And she struggled with it when she had both hands. I'm like, now you got your strong hand is now messed up. You know what I mean? So
I almost wonder if that kill where we see her run out of the house and then he smacks her in the head with the rock and then bashes her skull in, that would be, I wonder if that was an alternate ending that they shot but decided to use in a dream sequence, because the guy had 12 or 13 marks on the crossbow, right? This would be a perfect way for him to get that and continue on. I could see a world where they shot that as how it could work either way, because I loved that kill. That was the second kill I wanted to bring up. I loved how it was done. It was simple, effective. You felt the brutality within it, and the blood splatter. I mean, the blood splatter looked like something out of Evil Dead 2 whenever he's on top of her, smashing her with that rock, and this wave of blood comes up on the bottom half of the screen. It was done really well. I enjoyed that one. I wonder if they had shot that in because you could have plugged that in at the end of the film and have him just walk away and never have cops show up, never have anything. Just have it be one of those movies that doesn't have a happy ending, you know, because those can be good as well, you know.
I mean, Night of the Living Dead did that. Right at the damn end, man. He got shot, and I'm like, damn it.
That's what I'm saying.
So frustrating.
This film would still be as powerful. Just imagine how powerful it would be if you still have the same scene where she's sitting in the bathroom and she's contemplating, you know, she's talking to, you know, her inner self is talking to her, you know, with actual voice. And she says, okay, my only choice is to run out of here. And she does it, bop, hits the, you know, gets hit with the rock and, you know, smashes her skull in. That would be a very powerful ending as well. I would be interested in seeing a different cut of this movie that had that come out to it, because I think that would work as well.
I think maybe they did, because we watched. There is a if anyone watches Dead Meat, there is a kill count of this movie. I think they said they did do that, or they considered, you know, ironically making
multiple endings,
making different possibilities than like.
It felt like an ending, like it felt very final, and like, because after he bashes her head in, he kind of like takes a breath, like, oh, it's finally over, kind of thing.
Right.
Like it would have fit that way.
I like how it tied in back to the beginning of the movie when she was going through all those alternate endings. It's like she has all these endings of possibilities for her book, and then she's got all these alternate endings. It showed how her inner monologue worked in a way.
Right.
Well, she started approaching it as a writer, which is kind of her ultimate. I mean, that's what she is she started to approach it from her point of view as a writer.
Well, and that is what she told Sarah too. She's like, in my head, it's like a movie with different endings, and I was like, there it is.
But more to what you guys were talking about, the body count of this movie, for being a horror movie, is a relatively low body count. Three. Sarah in the beginning, John when he shows up, and the killer himself at the end, in that order. And that's it.
Well, actually, if you want to look at this a different way, this might be one of the most prolific horror films because they killed 3/4 of the cast. So, hey, you know, what you going to do?
Yeah.
But also, I mean, look, we talked about, you know, William Friedkin being a fan of this movie. Another fan of this movie was Stephen King. You can actually see Stephen King's book glimpsed in the beginning of the movie as Maddie plugs in her computer as Mr. Mercedes. That's another story about a psychotic killer, a serial killer whose motives are never explained. The director, Mike Flanagan, is a huge Stephen King fan, and King was a vocal fan of Oculus, which is a movie that Flanagan made in 2013. And shortly after this movie was released, King expressed his enthusiasm for the film on Twitter, saying how good is Hush. I don't know if you're going to agree with this, guys. It says it's up there with Halloween from 1978 and even more Wait Until Dark from 1967.
No, it's not. It's not Halloween. It's not up there with Halloween 78, but I'd put it one tier below.
I mean, when you think about Halloween just on its own, just the 78 film, I mean, is it not kind of the same way? Like you have some killer with some just blank mask who just has no motive other than just to kill people. I mean, and he just kind of...
Yes, but Halloween kicked off a universe that's lasted almost 50 years.
No, I know. I'm just saying if you just compared just the 78 film itself to this, if that was all there was, it's kind of the same, you know.
It's in the same vein. Like, I mean, like I said, you could classify, I mean, if you were going to a Blockbuster, I could see this being in the same section as Halloween because it fits the mold. It's got the...
Then again, like this guy's a little more human than Michael Myers. Michael Myers never speaks. He never takes his mask off. I mean, that's yeah, he's just kind of a force of evil. But I mean, this guy was just like, I saw your face.
Well, what's interesting is during the first year of lockdown, I was hanging out with some friends and we watched this movie. And they thought this was a pandemic made movie. They thought this was shot during, you know, social distancing nonsense and everything else, because the cast was so small. They didn't know it was a 2016 film. And they're like, oh, well, I can't believe they got this out so early. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, well, we've been locked down. Blah, blah. I'm like, dude, this is like 5 years old. What are you talking about? Or 4 years, whatever it was.
Could have been.
And, you know,
it could have been, though. I mean,
right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
You did that, and I watched Quarantine, ironically, because that's, you know, that's a fun movie.
I watched 28 Days Later.
You watched 28? God damn it.
I always thought it was funny at the beginning of the pandemic. I noticed all the streaming services were putting Outbreak out there watching. I was like, a little on the nose, guys, but okay, let's go with it.
I was watching Contagion for like 2 weeks whenever everything happened. So I was like, you know, I was asking for it, but, you know. it is what it is.
You know, one more other interesting little bit of trivia about this is that the book that returned by her friend at the beginning of the movie was called Midnight Mass. And in 2021, Mike Flanagan, the director of this film, actually made that book, Midnight Mass, into a TV miniseries that is available on Netflix, starring Kate Siegel.
Yep.
So kind of the story in the story. I've always thought those kind of references were kind of fun.
That's funny.
That's interesting.
And there's also some ties to Stephen King. There's Gerald's Game. It's another film that he made that Kate Siegel's also in. It's another pretty good film to watch. It's more on the thriller side than horror side, but still a good film. And he also directed Dr. Sleep too, the sequel to The Shining. So
I guess maybe it was kind of a good thing she lived at the end of this movie and didn't die, because when you think of, like, you said Oculus, I'm like, oh yeah, right. That ending, and then brother gets taken away because they thought he was crazy. I'm like, yeah, that was maybe have an ending where somebody lives this time. Jesus.
Well, it just goes to show when you see, okay, we obviously got the newest Halloween trilogy, and we've got, they did a Chucky reboot, they did a this, and they did a that. This just goes to show you something like this that didn't get the notoriety it deserved, but you can do something in the way of a Halloween that's original and have it be successful. Because, there's elements of, he's a little bit Jason with the hunter aspect, but he has the Michael type mask and everything else, And it's just, if you just get creative with it, you don't have to throw $10 million at it to make it good. Just make a good film. We got, just imagine this movie with Michael and Laurie Strode, or Ghostface and Sidney Prescott. It was on that level for me, that final battle. And she was so close to being defeated. If he had not blown on the back of her neck, she's done. Because he was sitting there right behind her the whole time. I mean, he could have just...
Like we were saying, with having no sound, like she's sitting with a knife, like ready at the door, like waiting for him. Like, you can't hear it. Then you start to see the glass trickle behind her. You still can't hear it, and she's still sitting there waiting. I'm like, does she feel the? You're like, does she feel the vibration? Did she feel that against the tub? What happened? You see him get in, then like he just like laughs, and you feel the breath, and she's like, ooh. Like, oh god damn it!
Cocky when you're trying to kill people.
But he is cocky. He is that dumb. He's slipped up. Yeah.
The way she turns that knife is some John Wick level stuff, because she goes from here to like you just killed my dog and we're about to do this thing. Dude.
He almost killed the cat.
Yeah,
that's what I'm
saying. She was. I mean, can we call her Jane Wick, or I don't know what name we can assign her, but she went from oh no, don't kill me till well, let's do this thing, coward. But, yeah.
Also, I mean, I don't know where else you'd swing that knife, because, I mean, she got him, like, in the knee or some shit. I'm like, you may have thought, like, he was, like, right here behind her, and you could have got him right in the head. She went for it.
Now, that was my one problem with that scene, though. Why wouldn't you put your back against the wall if you knew you were deaf and there was a window behind you? That was the one thing that I had a question about.
She didn't go. There was no window behind her. I read about it. He came through a skylight to get to her.
Was it a skylight? Okay. I thought it was a window. Okay. I thought it was a window.
Well, that'd be real awkward if she was in the tub.
The air changing, or smelled the air, or even smelled him when he was close, like sweat or cologne or blood or something.
Because, I mean, even them big boots he was wearing and he in the tub, like, I feel like maybe you would
feel that if you were leaning.
Then again, maybe she's just in the adrenaline, like, oh shit. Well,
she was in and out of consciousness right there at the end. A little bit.
Right.
Yeah, but obviously we care about what you guys think. So go down in the comments below. Let us know. Did you guys get a chance to watch the film Hush? It came out in 2016. It's available right now to watch. If you have Netflix, you can find it on there. Go to the comments below. Let us know what you guys think of the movie. That seems like a pretty good place to start wrapping things up. I do want to thank everybody who was in the chat with us tonight for coming and hanging out. We very much appreciate it. Again, kind of spontaneous. Good viewership tonight, though. Had a lot of fun. We're going to be doing more kind of one-off reviews like this moving forward. I'm working all that into my personal schedule that we can get on here and do some stuff like
We're going to do a Hallmark movie next.
No,
it's going to be fantastic. And then we're going to do a compilation of the last 20 seasons of Bachelor.
We are not.
And I'm going to commit suicide. So. You know, that's
What about
that's
Love
my
Island,
plan.
Cora?
No. You two can have your own spin-off channel. You do that. Go ahead.
I don't know. Go to that console. Let us know if you guys want to see that kind of content on our channel. Anyway,
Team Buttercup. That's all I got to say.
Yep.
thanks to my thanks to my awesome co-host for coming and hang out with me tonight. I appreciate you guys as always. Lady Cora, where can the folks at home find you?
Nowhere. I check my Twitter not often enough. Clearly, I'm gonna start checking it once a day now because I'm missing all our messages. I'm not anywhere online. I'm trying to get a new job, and I have a puppy, and I need sleep, and I'm shoveling snow often. So I'm
her
busy.
friends aren't good enough for her. And she just doesn't care anymore. You know, that's how it is.
I'm here. Bad touch, Tex.
Yes, I got it. Okay. I'm happy
Well,
now.
with co-hosts like you, Tex, who needs friends? And that's our friend from down south in the Lone Star State. Tex, where can the folks at home find you?
Here, you know, Thursdays, obviously. Yeah. Other than that, I don't really plan anything. But yeah, I'm at /Revision on Twitter if you want to follow me there. I don't really do anything. I pretty much have it to find news stories for the Thursday show here. So thank you for that, Twitter. But yeah, I guess at /Revision, if you have any recommendations of some smaller or horror films or independent movies I haven't maybe seen, hit me up and let me know. So yeah, that's about it.
Are you still doing shows on the B channel called Casey is Raw on Friday or Wednesdays?
I consider that like doing charity work because obviously
Right.
Casey sucks and he needs help, So
Hence
I
the
go
B
on
channel,
there and
wink, wink.
to be fair, I can go on there and I can verbally abuse Casey, make fun of him all I want. He takes it, it's a good way to get. It's a good way. It's a good stress reliever. I can just call him stupid to his face, and he goes, "Well, you're right," and I feel better, and we just go on about our day. It works out. So.
Well, speaking of Casey, he was kind enough to send in a donation a little bit ago. He did say
Well,
that.
let's be fair, Frank. He did denote in the chat to go towards what I owe you. So it's a payment.
Oh well.
My PayPal didn't ring yet there, Casey.
Well, you see, here's the problem is I don't think it should go towards that. It's more of an advertisement. He did donate $5. Thank you, Casey is Raw, for donating $5. You guys can donate to the show during live streams with the links in the chat. But he does say, I'm here to shamelessly plug my channel and to promote my stream for tomorrow on Wednesday Night Nitro. So is that really, that seems to me like an advertisement, doesn't it?
He's just attention deprived. He only does it because he knows you have to say it. And
he paid for an ad.
He really did pay for his own ad.
Frank, to be fair, I brought up his Wednesday night show a few minutes ago. He should pay you another $5.
Right.
Those two mentions.
We're sitting here handing it out for you, man.
So we're back up to $200, Joe, Casey.
Yep.
but now to our power couple, Grim and Septum. What do you guys got going on?
Don't forget Buttercup. Hello.
Buttercup.
The fur baby.
Yes, hi. Your name's Buttercup.
What?
Yes.
He can be the mascot of the show. There you go.
Right, there you go.
Yes, she'll make a good mascot.
I don't know if we make merch in dog size, but we could probably get you one.
Get her a little
t-shirt.
Yeah.
She's looking at you like, what?
Yeah, I'll put you in a t-shirt.
Do not put me in a shirt.
I know this is a squirrel moment, and I'm sorry, Frank, but I got to do it. Her ears curl so perfectly on the ends. They're just so beautiful, and she's just so gorgeous. And I just love Buttercup, and my day is better when I see her here, and I see the fucking graphic.
Like, you make our day better, Cora. Look at the boy.
We got our quota. We got one bad touch text and one squirrel moment, Cora. So we've hit our quota.
You're about to get a second, motherfucker.
Oh, really? Is that a threat? Is that a threat?
You know what? You're going to
Honest.
turn me into an anti-MAGA Hulk that's blue.
Oh, red versus blue, baby. Let's go.
Anyway,
what do you got? Anyway, you guys want to plug anything?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Well,
I'm occupied.
I
Apparently.
have been saying that I was going to clean out my office so that I could build a PC for the past 4 years, and my office is almost completely cleaned out. And I have all the parts to my PC. I just have to build it. And once I do that, I will be either on YouTube or Twitch streaming The Sims.
Nice.
10 Septum on either platform.
Can I make a
you can find
request
me on Twitter as well?
to
Yes.
watch you on Twitch? Can you have a
Yes.
separate camera that's just on Buttercup at
Dog
all
cam.
times
I
when
may
you're live?
need
Like
to do
on
that. Yes.
like on a little dog bed next to you, it's like a Buttercup cam.
Well, she'll probably be on my
Well,
she'll be
lap.
in your-
Now
She sits in your lap.
She sits
all the
in my
time.
lap when I'm
That
working.
would be like a
so-
little one on her face or something.
Yeah.
Or put a
Yeah, that would
GoPro
be
on her
cute.
head so you can see what she's looking at in your
That
lap.
would be
Oh,
funny.
Jesus.
That would be funny.
Then she
I
gets the
know.
zoomies.
Right? Just zoom.
Sorry, I'm squirreling your plugging.
Are you about done?
That's all. You can find me on Twitter though at Tinseptum as well. That's where I'll post updates.
Let's talk about the dog, not you.
Oh well.
The dog will have Twitter soon. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Buttercup the dog on
Yeah.
Twitter.
Right.
As for me, you can find me here every Thursday going over all the craziness going on in the world of TV, movies, and streaming. And like I said, I'm going to try to get on here at least every other week and do another like oddball review. Now, there are some movies coming up that we're going to be reviewing. Obviously, the trailer for Ant-Man Quantumania came out yesterday during the college football championship game. We're going to be talking about that on Thursday. There's a whole lot to unpack in that trailer. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not.
Are we going to be reviewing that scary, stupid movie, Blood and Honey, Winnie the Pooh? It's Valentine's Day week.
Cora?
I've already got that day off, so I guess that movie.
You're getting demoted to the C show.
boy.
You're out of here.
I'm not saying. Look, nobody has to come to review that movie. All I know.
No,
is I'm
I'll
going
do
to
it.
see and probably within a few days after that, there's going to be a review of it. So.
Also, Frank, did you totally just skip me?
No,
Well, you did say
I
power
told you guys.
couple. We talked about the dog, and then we talked about Rachel. Now you're third, so it's your spot now.
No,
You're
Frank
third.
then just went, so as for me, I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Well, this is what happens.
You know
when
what?
squirrel
You
moments
always,
happen, is it
Jeremy,
takes
you
a real
always
time.
have to have your, whiny wife moment, because you are his, what do you call him? Your platonic life.
My hetero life.
Yes, you have to have your hetero life mate wifey moment where you whine. So you,
Hey, Cora, look.
you check that off.
Shiny objects. Shiny objects. Shiny objects.
It's
2
actually
seconds
funny.
away from it.
It's actually funny you mentioned that because Frank, next time I come over, I've got a gift for you, and it is Jay and Silent Bob related. You're welcome in advance.
Snoochie
You're welcome
boochie.
'cause I
There-
found it.
Yeah, you found it. And you told me there was only 2 left. You gave me the one, and I had to be like, crap. You went to another store. I was like, where's the other one? I got to get it.
I'm going to guess it's marijuana. That's what I'm
No.
going to
No,
guess.
I'm guessing it's a pop figure.
No.
No.
No. Oh.
No.
As long as it's View Askew Universe related.
Yes.
Perfectly happy. Perfectly
For
happy.
sure.
it will get a prominent place. I'm actually going to be putting some shelving up back here so I can put the pop figures. I'm actually
Might
putting
be
all
able
the
to-
books off the bookshelf so I can put all the pop figures back up. I want to get them reintegrated into the background here as much as I like my.
You'd be proud, Jeremy. I bought my second ever pop figure recently, like as a gift for someone else, of course. But I've bought 2 in my life now.
Did you leave the box?
Okay. No.
Of course, I gave it 2 in the box. I did suggest I take it out of the box, and I got some eye rolls. So.
Well,
Exactly. See? See? You don't
Take them
them
out of
You
the
know
box and enjoy them. What's wrong with you people?
But Jeremy, you
Why
have
do I have
anything
to
you'd like
agree
to
with
plug
you
real
on
quick?
something?
I'm going to plug Cora's mouth up. Keep squirreling me, damn it.
Amen. Preach on, preach.
I could make a bad joke about giving me some nuts to keep my mouth full, but
Oh, we're
that
not
would
going
not
there.
really go well.
You just did it. So there you go.
I was going to be like, this is a family show. I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Depends on who your family is. That's what I go with. Yeah, so I'm obviously here. Whenever we decide to do this randomly or on Thursdays, whatever. I always say I'm on Twitter. I mean, I'm there, but I don't know. Maybe I just need to obnoxiously post, even if it's meaningless crap every day. Maybe Big Daddy Musk will shut me down. I don't know. Who cares?
Who?
Elon Musk.
Oh,
Elongated
him.
muskrat.
Yeah. He
That guy.
Yeah.
Future Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
He
Pretty much.
wishes.
It's like he wants to be Tony Stark, but, he's not.
I'd rather be Lex Luthor. He's cooler.
Fair. Yeah, so I'm on there, Twitter sometimes. Also, Grim Tuesday 23 on YouTube and on Twitch. Like she said, I'll start doing some stuff here, and obviously part of the first thing is once we start doing The Last of Us, that's probably going to be the big thing. Again, I'll have my notebook. I'll even I wish I could like just green screen the Talking Dead set behind me because it'd be funny. Maybe change it because I don't want to get sued. But yeah, I'll give the game a play, and again I'll give the sequel a second chance, even though I know I'm just gonna get mad halfway through. If you know, you know. Yeah, I got some other stuff I could stream, and I'll probably play back through the Arkham series again, and maybe it'll lead up to the Suicide Squad game, which was his last Kevin Conroy's last portrayal of Batman. So, yeah, and hopefully I fix all the sound issues with whatever the hell was going on with that recording, because that was infuriating. But that's another hurdle.
And now you're done, right? I don't have to worry about stepping on your toes or anything? Okay.
Go right ahead.
Now that we've dealt with the emotional females of the chat, good God, I tell you what.
Bad touch, asshole. Like, come the fuck on.
You made Cora like curse twice.
We are not going to share the stuff Alan shared, but women are not responsible for all the bad shit in this world.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Alan is now Elena. He's now a she.
I thought
So
it was Allie now. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to tell the story. I'm
Allie
going to tell
also
the story really fast. Don't put the
we're
squirrel
very
thing
proud
up,
of him,
please.
her, it, Frankenstein,
Please
whatever it goes by. We're proud of him.
So Alan couldn't come on the show tonight, brooding gamer, if I call him Alan, because he, in his line of work, he's a veterinarian.
Get it right, Cora. Respect that.
Evidently, some dog ate a tampon and had to have surgery. So, Tex here decided to make a joke that, that's the woman's fault.
Yep. Do men use tampons? I don't think so. So who needs?
Maybe you need one in your mouth.
I'm changing the name of the show to Derailed from now on. I wonder if Drew let me use that name for a while.
I think we're more derailed than he even is. So Jesus.
Come back Thursday. We're going to be giving you our New Year's movie resolutions. We've made New Year's movie resolutions. We're going to give them to you guys. Also, again, we're going to break down all the craziness that went on in that Ant-Man Quantumania trailer. There was a whole lot of big reveals in that trailer for those of you who know. But thank you guys very much for hanging out. We very much appreciate it. We'll see you guys next time. Adios.
Yeah.